Hello, Cliff Briscoe. Thou shalt not fear. That's a good word, isn't it? Thou shalt not fear. Cliff Briscoe here again today. Why don't you like us if you do, subscribe, and tell a friend. Would you do that? We would so appreciate that. You know, fear is one of the great cripplers of people's lives. I mean, there's all kinds of things that cause people to not want to move out. And we mentioned in one of our other times together about the guy. Remember the parable of the talents, the one that had 5 and 2 and 1? And the guy that had 1 talent, he buried it. And when the master came back, he said, you know what? I knew you were hard, and I was afraid, and so I just buried this. And so we realize that fear can just taint what we see, what we hear, what we feel. You know, the disciples, when they saw Jesus coming on the water because of all that was around them, and they were afraid, they thought it was a ghost. What's the remedy for this? Well, Isaiah 54 and verse 14, it says, in righteousness you shall be established, you shall be far from oppression, and you shall not fear. Wow. This is a prophetic word that there would come a time that Jesus would come into the hearts of men and dispel fear. You know, when you're not afraid to die, you're not afraid of anything. Our security, our eternity, our future is set. Our future is secure. And when that happens, it puts a fearlessness inside of a man and inside of a woman that they can really live. When you're not afraid of what's coming, you can really live the way that you're supposed to live. And of course, for us, you know, living holy and righteous and separate to Jesus, no matter what anybody says, we know we're going to face the God of gods someday, and He will say, well done, good and faithful servant. As long as we're afraid of Him, that's a good fear. Now, notice what this verse says. It says, in righteousness you shall be established. In other words, we realize that because of what's happened to us, because of righteousness having been imparted to us, we're not scum, we're not worms, we're not lowlife. We are the righteousness of God. Righteousness has come, and because of that, He says you're not going to be afraid. And oppression, what's oppression? Oppression is just something that pushes on you and pushes you down and tries to push you out of life. And God is saying that when righteousness comes, when you stand up and you know who you are in Christ, that fear and oppression will be far from you. Well, got to go. I'll see you tomorrow.